I surprised my best friend on his birthday, found him caring for a neighbor, and I fell for him. Caleb and I met sophomore year on the worst campus job, the convenience store night shift. We scanned energy drinks at 2 a.m., split stale donuts, and made up backstories for regulars. He covered my shifts during exams and drove me home when my car died, more than once. After graduation, we moved to different cities, but we stayed close with daily texts and calls. Last April, I decided to surprise him for his 27th birthday. He had a new job and was barely sleeping. I baked snickerdoodle cookies, packed them in a tin, and grabbed cheesy horror movies from a gas station. Then I drove 4 hours to his place. In the parking lot, his neighbor, Mrs. Davis, waved and said he had been at the hospital since yesterday morning. I called him. He picked up on the first ring. His voice was thin. He said he was fine, then told me Mrs. Lee from 4B had fallen down her stairs, broken her hip, and hit her head. He found her on the landing, called 911, and rode in the ambulance. She kept asking for someone to stay. The nurses said she had no close family. He could not leave her alone. I drove straight to Mercy General. I found him in the ICU waiting area with a small notebook. Yesterday's shirt, messy hair. He was writing. He said he was tracking her meds and the times nurses came. He wrote down details she told him when she was clear, so he could repeat them when she got scared. Her cat's name was Mr. Whiskers. He was feeding him between visits. We took shifts by her bed. The ICU hummed with soft beeps. We held her hand when she woke and asked where she was. We answered the same questions again and again. He spoke in a calm voice each time, like it was new. He guided a straw to her lips. When his eyes closed, I told him to sleep, and he did, folded in a chair with a blanket. On day 2, I fed Mr. Whiskers, freshened the litter, and grabbed clean shirts and a phone charger. On the way back, I bought a plain cupcake and a number 27 candle. I set the tiny cake on the waiting room table and lit it. We split the cupcake. He laughed once and said the frosting tasted like plastic. That afternoon, Mrs. Lee woke, reached for the rail, and said she needed to make tea for her husband, then cried because her legs would not move. Caleb stood by the bed, said her name, told her the date, and said her cat was fine. She breathed slower. He wrote down the time and what worked. He thanked the nurse by name and tucked the blanket around her feet. When she cried again, he passed a tissue and waited while she calmed. On day 3, while he was in the cafeteria, Mrs. Lee squeezed my hand with surprising strength. Her eyes were clear and steady. She said that young man cared for me more than anyone she had seen in a long time, and talked about me like I was the best part of his day. She said he kept her calm with stories about a friend named Tessa who baked the best cookies. I thought about every ride home in his old Honda when my car died. I thought about when he drove 6 hours to help me move and carried boxes up 3 flights. I thought about the times he gave me his lunch when I forgot mine, and how he never made me feel small. I looked at the taped cookie tin on the chair and the candle in a paper cup. He came back with 2 coffees and a pack of crackers. I asked for a minute in the hall, just us. He checked the monitor, looked at me, and nodded. We stepped by a window over the parking lot. I told him I had cookies and horror movies in the car. He smiled and said that sounded perfect, and also like a terrible plan. I took a breath and told him I did not just want to be the friend who texts at midnight and calls on weekends. I said I wanted the person who brings a notebook to a hospital and learns a stranger's meds. I said I wanted the man who feeds a cat, thanks nurses, and forgets his own birthday because someone else needs help. My voice shook. I told him I wanted him. I said I would rather risk the friendship than pretend I did not feel this. He stared past me like he was lining up words. He said he had been trying not to say it first. He was afraid of ruining the one thing that felt solid. He told himself to leave it alone, and could not. He reached for my hand and asked if we could try right now and be honest. I nodded. He pressed his forehead to mine for half a second. A nurse called his name from the door. We looked at each other and went back inside. Our hands stayed together as we stepped to the bed. When Mrs. Lee looked up, we both said hi. Now my friends are saying I risked our friendship on his birthday. Was I wrong?